Hello, once again,
Got it.
everyone. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency, specializing in authors and musicians. Remember, we shine only when we make you shine. Call us today at 941-567-6193 for a free PR evaluation. King's X architected a catalog of seminal releases. KERRANG famously scored their 1988 full-length debut out of the Silent Planet with a rare 5 out of 5 stars. On its heels, the landmark Gretchen Goes in Nebraska continues to inspire think pieces with ultimate classic rock, going as far to proclaim no one else has crafted anything remotely like it. They notably appeared on the soundtrack to Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey and Guitar World, christened the self-titled King's X, one of the 30 greatest rock guitar albums of 1992. And you know what? It was a year notably highlighted by Pantera's Vulgar display of power, Alice in Chains' Dirt, Megadeth's Countdown to Extinction, Dream Theater's Images and Words, and many more. Following Dogman, the group graced the stage of Woodstock in 1994 and toured with everyone from Pearl Jam and AC/DC to Mötley Crüe and Iron Maiden. They also attracted one of the most diehard fan bases of music. Their first full-length studio offering in 14 years, Three Sides of One, represents the culmination of this trip and a bond forged way back in 1979. Please welcome bass guitarist, songwriter, and co-lead vocalist for the hard rock and progressive metal band King's X, Dug Pinnick, to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, Doug.
Howdy, howdy.
Where are you calling from today, man?
I'm calling from LA. We lived in Texas for 40 years, and
Whoa.
everybody, Ty and Jerry found the love of their lives and moved to the cities that they came from, which, because it would have been criminal to make them leave. They have a wonderful life there, and I've gained a lot of good friends and a couple other families that are just wonderful people.
Right.
So, yeah, but I'm in LA. I moved out here. I figured, what are you going to do?
You lived in Florida for a while, a long time ago, right?
Yeah, that was 74, 75. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Jesus Commune.
Yeah. Where was that? I'm in Florida. I'm in the Bradenton, Sarasota area.
Okay. I was on Center Street and Fifth Street, downtown Tampa. Not Tampa, but what's the other city across the lake or the gully? It's Tampa on one side, and
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember it now.
it's a big city. God,
yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So yeah, I lived there.
Oh, Clearwater? Was it Clearwater?
Clearwater.
Okay,
yes.
There you go. So what took you guys so long? 14 years to put out another album? What were you guys doing in that time?
Ty and Jerry didn't want to do a record.
Uh-huh.
They just didn't feel the inspiration. And every year or so, I'd say, let's do a record. I had songs, but they just didn't feel we were really into it. I kept writing. I kept doing side projects. I did PGP, KXM, Grinder Blues, Trace Mountains, Super Shine, Pound Hound. God, I did so much shit, and they did some stuff too, and but we were just doing our thing, surviving. And then Derek Schulman would pop into our lives every now and then, and he would take me out to dinner when he'd come out to LA. Derek Schulman ran MCA. He started Interscope. He signed Pantera and Bon Jovi, and the list goes on and on. He's a good friend, and I'm a fan of his from being the lead singer of Gentle Giant back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And King King's X is one of his favorite bands, and said
Oh,
he
cool.
would have hired, he would have signed us if he had been higher up in the totem pole. And he says he regrets it to this day. And he said, "Come on, guys, do a record. We're fans. We need a record." And we kept saying, "No, no." And he kept saying, "If I can get you a deal, if I could, make this happen, will you do it?" And after like 3 or 4 years of talking to him about it, we finally said yeah. And he went to bat for us, got us a record deal, got us everything we needed to make a record. And so, I love to give him credit for it, for that reason. And also, right around that time, I remember we were doing something, and I brought a few songs I had written to the guys, and I played it for them, and they kind of got excited and go, "Wow, maybe we can do this again." And Jerry said he was as encouraged as he was horrified, which meant we're gonna work, and so it was cool, and so everybody's hearts were lightening up, I would say. And then finally, when it happened, we all got together with Michael Parnan, who did a couple of my solo records, and he's got to know Ty and Jerry, and we love this guy to death. Michael, I lived in his studio for 6 months when I first moved to LA because I didn't have nowhere to go and trying to figure it out, and I've been here 14 years now, which is, I don't know why I didn't move out here sooner. But yeah, so we made the record out here. We made it like a real record. We went into a studio, spent a month doing it, did everything analog. Everything but Pro Tools. Everything went down analog, and from Pro Tools to the mastering. The mastering was saturated, tape saturation, and EQ compression. There was no digits on this record, and we really wanted this record, every song to sound different in every way possible to make it the best you can make it.
Right.
I mean, isn't that what Zeppelin did? Isn't that what Queen did?
Yeah.
I mean, you put those records on and it's like they're all over the place, but it didn't matter. And so we wanted that. And I think we had been away from each other long enough, and we've had 10, 11 years under our belts. We settled into things in our own lives, and had a chance to just get older and have a little bit more wisdom about not knowing what we don't know and knowing what we know. And so going into the studio to make this record, we did it the same way we always did, but there was an ease and an enjoyment that we never experienced, I think. There was no tension, there was no drama, there was no arguing, there was no egos. It was amazing. Everything that we decided to do, everybody just dove in, and we just let everyone be who they are, to do who they are. And that's my song. I want this part to be this and that. It was like everybody just listened to this song, and we did it. It was sort of like we tried to understand each other's demos and then put our hearts into it, not to change it, but to put our nuance to it, which is what King's X does. We play in each other's heads in a way that I've never played with anybody else before. So, and that was the fun thing about doing this record, because not making a record with King's X for so long, when we did the first track, just the band tracks, I remember I went into the studio after we laid down this one song, and I listened to it back, and I went, "Oh, wow. I heard us for the first time in my life." And I go, "Oh, that's what we do." Because I've played with so many other people, and I've gotten to, just to bounce off the walls and see all these other perspectives, to see where I came from. And I go, "Wow, okay, that's what we got." And I get it now. It ain't hit records. It ain't for the masses. It is something special in itself for those who hear. And I always say, for those who have ears, let them hear. And that's the best way you can leave, and you just leave it at that.
Man, this break was a good thing, though, because it really shows on the record.
Well,
And
thank you.
I never knew about the Derek Schulman connection. I had Derek on the show. He's a cool guy, and I'm a big Gentle Giant fan as well.
Awesome, me
So
too. Oh my
yeah,
God, I played those records so much when I was. Oh my God, so
yeah,
sincere. I was thinking about how does he sing those melodies over top of that?
I
It was a
know.
big it's a big inspiration because in King's
Mhm.
X, even to this day, I go for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I think I have to admit, Gentle Giant is a huge influence
Hmm.
on me, and I always forget to talk about it because I talk about Yes a lot. But I
Right.
remember the thing about Gentle Giant
Hmm.
was they were as prog, if not
Oh
more
yeah,
prog,
very prog.
than any other prog band
I
in their
agree.
time.
Yep.
But they had a drummer that plowed through it like John Bonham.
Right. Right.
That's what I loved about them. That
Hmm.
all the crazy shit was going, you still heard that four on the floor,
Yeah.
and that hi-hat was going. So it kept you, it was that train was rolling. And I've always felt that. And even in King's X, I think
Hmm.
and from my point of view, I go for that, Big
Well, on the new
inspiration. God, I
album,
never even thought that. Go ahead, sorry.
the new album, I do hear a couple of type prog songs, and I'm gonna go ahead
Yeah,
and mention it. First, I want to
go
mention
for it.
you got two singles out on
Mm-hmm,
video now, which is "Let It Rain" and "Give It Up." That's the second
mm-hmm.
single, which was released not too long ago, so everybody can check that out. The new album, I gave it 5 stars, man. Three sides of one.
Wow.
I love it.
Thank you.
I really, really enjoyed the album. Is,
Awesome.
is there any kind of theme to this? Is there a little bit of a concept?
No,
No?
no. There's never. Everybody asks that. Here's the thing about the music that we write. I don't know if anybody. I mean, I want to believe other people do that, but I've never paid attention to it. But what
Right.
happens with King's X is like a yearbook for me. When I write a song, it's about what I feel, what I think, what I'm going through,
Hmm.
and I try to explain myself
Right.
in that period of time. And then the next batch of songs I'll write from another perspective because it's a year and a half or 2 years later.
Right.
Um, and so on this record, I turned 70, and I
Congratulations.
just thank you, and I'll be 72 next month, and
Wow.
I see life a lot differently than I did before
Yeah.
in the years before. So I have and at first I thought, what have I got to say anymore? And I don't want to cry about, oh, woe is me, my life is terrible, And so I said, well, and I kept saying, just sing about what you're doing right now, what you're going through. And it's like,
Sure.
yeah. And all of a sudden, the words started coming out of just what I feel and what I see and what I think, and it's nothing new. Just Doug spewing Doug.
Right. Doug, you look great, by the way, man. You don't look
Thank
like
you
you're in
very
you don't
much.
look like you're in your 70s at all, man.
Bless your heart.
You must take care of yourself.
I
Yeah.
took a heart test, and it says my heart is that of a 54-year-old. And it says
All
I got a
right.
17-year jump from 71. Yeah,
Good.
all my tests are like that. It's kind of weird. It runs in my
Yeah.
family. They're pretty healthy, and they don't even
Good,
take care of
good.
themselves. So
Yeah.
I take care of myself. Anyway, I'll give you
Awesome.
back your time.
Well, I did hear a little bit of a water theme in the album.
Oh
Let It
yeah.
Rain,
And
Flood Part
and here's
1.
it. Yeah, here's the thing. Those are two songs out of about 40 songs I wrote in the last couple years.
Right.
And they so happened to rock. And so I pulled them up first and played them for the guys. And then Michael put them in a row, which made
Yeah.
it look like there's a theme of water. But the bottom line is flood. I'm a problem solver. That's
Mhm.
my makeup, and I always try to see things from both sides and try to figure out how can you compromise. It's an obsession that I have, and I write
Right.
about it and I sing about it. um and I looked around and realized, I'm going, the way it is in the United States right now was like right before the Civil War.
Yep.
And there's no fixing this. There's no way I can get a bunch of people together and get them to reason, because they're totally, completely on the, they're in two different realities, and there's no way I can pull this. I can verbally even let them listen to each other, because if I use the wrong words, I'm automatically on one side or the other. And so I'm thinking, what we need is a fucking flood. Fucking just drown all of us motherfuckers, and start over again. Start over again so we can do it all over again.
Yeah.
You know, there's no beginning until there's an ending. Where do we begin? You know, I used to say that all we needed was love. Now I'm thinking what we need is a flood.
The
It's
flood,
just,
yeah.
and it's not that I want that to happen. It's just something to sing about.
Yeah.
It's just something to sing about, like everything else. And say, oh, you'll sing about that. Let's.
Well, since you've done that, we're appointing you Noah. You got to gather all the animals in the boat.
No, I don't. You know, I don't believe that shit. I believe that Anunnaki did it, and they gave him all the genetic codes. And so and then I wouldn't die for that, because there could be another belief system that makes more sense than that does. So
yeah, that's true.
You know, let it rain is basically a prayer to the universe.
Right. Love
Calling
it.
all saviors and shouting at God. You know, it's like, you know, I'm being gender neutral here,
right?
But I'm going, hey, we need some help here. Don't you think we need it? And I'm going to wash away the fear, because it seems like fear is the problem. Fear is a culprit. How you get rid of it? Wash it away like water washes away the shit.
Right.
You know, and another song to sing about.
You know, it reminds me of 10 years after. I love to change the world, but I don't know how. You know, basically, you don't know how, so let's just have a flood.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, aren't we all saying the same thing, just trying to find new and clever ways to say it?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I look at, because ain't nobody saying nothing new.
No. I think there's something wrong with the Matrix somewhere. Something screwed up the Matrix.
No. What's happening in the Matrix? The Matrix is working.
Oh,
That's
it is working.
The problem. It's not screwed up. It's taking it that long to get to this point, so that they can completely put us in our own realities and control us completely, so that we can be slaves to whatever it is that they're making us do. They're winning. We're not winning. We're losing, and we're gonna lose. And especially when AI finally takes over, because the AI knows you better than you. AI knows you better than you know you. And how do you know that? Look at your algorithms. It's bringing up shit that you were thinking about, not even spoken about. You were thinking about it, and it's coming to you. And that's doing that to everybody who's got a goddamn phone. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Anyway, eat and drink and be merry, because tomorrow. What else are you gonna do?
I got to ask you, where's Flood Part 2?
Actually, Flood Part 2, that song, I decided to make a magnum opus song. And most of the songs that I write have a bunch of parts to them.
Okay.
And after I listen to them, I go, man, that's too many parts, and it's just too boring and too long. So I'll take the parts out, and I'll cut and paste them and slide them over next to my Pro Tools, and I'll go over to them later.
I like that.
And pull it up and go, those are some badass parts. Let's make a song out of those 3 parts. And you know, and I'll manipulate them, you know, do things to them, and then I'll make up a melody. Gonna have a party. I can't wait to see everyone. You know, that's where that one came from. It was a bunch of parts. Yeah. And that on Flood Part 2, it was like an Ozzy Osbourne meets Queen 2 parts that came out like that. It was like the fatness of an early Queen record with the big guitars, but the harmonies, full on harmonies. And then out of that, there was this Ozzy riff that was just, you know, that kind of Ozzy bark at the wall riff. And so that was going on in there. And I took those 2 parts out Well, there was another part 2, and I took those 3
Sure.
parts out, and I made that Flood Part 2. So
Okay.
the songs
All right.
probably won't have. That's the only way I categorize them.
Right.
And Michael said to me, he says, "So is this really?" Because on the demo it was Flood Part 1, and
Yeah.
he says, "Are we going to call this Flood Part 1?" I'm going, "Why not?" And he says, "Good, it'll cost, people will ask." And yeah, and I mean, someone's already said to me, "Will there be a Flood Part 2?" And I'm going, well, "It's done.
It's done. Yeah.
It's done. Yeah."
Love that song. You know what? The vocals reminded me a little bit of Steve Miller for some reason. You know, that kind of Steve Miller's vibe. You know, the way he sings.
You know, I that has to be subconscious if you hear that. But
Right.
here's the cool thing. Just a couple days ago,
Mm-hmm.
in the last couple weeks, I've been hearing "Keep on Rocking Me, Baby."
Really?
And it's just been that just riff has been coming to my head, and I'm going, and I keep thinking to myself, that guy had some huge hits.
Yeah.
And I always think I should go revisit that album, and then I do something else. But
Right.
yeah, so wow, I can see that. Because whatever I put in this song, I heard it from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
everybody does.
Everybody does. Everybody does.
All God's children. A little psychedelic there, a little backward loop guitar, which was cool. Talk about that.
That's not track. Backwards.
It's not backwards.
Not backwards.
Really?
That's forward.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Really?
I remember when Ty did that lead, and I came into the studio, and I said, "Man, that is the greatest backward lead I've ever heard." He goes, "No, but that was frontwards." And I looked at Michael, and yeah, he played that forward. Because when you hear at the end, see, what got me was I said, "You played that backwards, and then you guys turned it around. How did you turn it around on the last lick? Because the last lick is typical Ty." And I'm going, he couldn't have done that backwards. And it confused me. So I asked him, and yeah, that's a badass lick.
It is. It is.
I love that song. I love playing that song. It's when I first heard it, it was like when the guitars came in, and all I could think of was Geezer Butler. What would he do? What would he do? And so I played it up high and made it, to make it like that Black Sabbath thing. And Ty said that's exactly what he wanted. And it's just those, I don't know, it was just so powerful. And then it drops down to "It Came with the Water," which is typical Ty. And then it kicks in the space. Michael, when he mixed it, I mean, the fucking space in that song, it was like, geez. Yeah. So it's a fun song to play because I don't sing it. I don't sing on anything on it. And the bass part, I'm playing this bass parts, and they're so much fun. And oh man, yeah, I really like that song. I love all of Ty's songs because they're a musical challenge for me. His songs are mathematically insane. I write mathematical songs, but since I write them, I can do them. But to learn somebody else's math, sometimes can be difficult for me. And he's real good at that. Lost in Germany and Black Flag. Yeah. Anyway.
How about this? Let's throw a festival. Let's make it so the rest of us can go. It's just an idea, but it's one that I think we should try. What's the worst? Maybe somebody dies. That's a fun tune.
And that was before he wrote that before the pandemic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's the thing people don't understand is all these songs were written before the pandemic. They have not one song has anything to do with the pandemic. Only a couple of songs from a Joy Bomb album has something to do with the pandemic. But we never want to date ourselves. And so, yeah, that song actually is a true story about a couple people who put on a huge festival and they didn't take all the precautions, and some people died, and they got sued, and it was sort of like really a gross thing of negligence, something that you should have paid attention to.
Right. Swipe Up, that's a cool tune. Swipe up, unlock, censored, you're in control. Heavy guitars on that one. That's a cool song.
Yeah. I love that song. I was
Yeah.
in my gent mode. I was listening to a lot of Meshuggah, and they're
Hmm.
one of my favorite bands. And I thought, I'm gonna get my 8 string out and plow through this one and try to make up a groove and shit. And I
Hmm.
had it all busy and shit. And I wrote all the music, and I loved it, but the drum programming was like busy, and it was that typical gent music. The kick drum was all over the place and shit. And I played the song for the guys, and there was no words, and they liked it. And then when we went into the studio, it was like, this drum thing ain't working, Jerry saying, and through some conversation, we says, you do what you do. And
Hmm.
he plowed through it like a beast. And when he got done, when we listened to it back, we just went, now that's King's X. It ain't dUg anymore. And
Right.
and so we were gonna leave it an instrumental. And this is the only song that after the pandemic, when Michael started mixing the record, he got to that song. It was the last song he mixed. And he says, look, you guys are going to have to put some words on this. He said, you got
Right.
words and everything on there. He said, we King's X fans, you got to do something here.
Hmm.
So he sent me a rough mix, and I sat home for a couple of days and made up all the verses. And then we sent it to Ty, and I said, Ty, can you and Jerry make up melodies? Because Jerry and Ty really do a lot of melodies together all the time. They have this
Hmm.
matchup that they do a lot. And I says, why don't you come up with some stuff? And he did, and he sent it to Jerry, and then sent it back to Michael, and that's
Hmm.
what you got. And it was at that time I was getting into the algorithms
Right.
and I was starting to get that always on the phone thing,
Yep.
you know, and swiping and swiping. And the more I swiped, the more it was what I wanted, and the more, and information and,
Hmm.
and all that kind of stuff. So, and the other thing about it too was, to get political for innocently political is that it seems that the algorithms have taken us to where we want to go
Right.
to confirm our belief system. And
Right. Right.
I am in my own belief system, and as much as I believe it,
Hmm.
I feel bright enough to know that my world isn't the right one either.
Hmm.
And some of the things that I dismiss could be really
Right.
happening, and some of the things that you say is a conspiracy might really be a conspiracy.
Exactly.
And you
Boom.
kind of go boom, it's like I go, well, okay, so this person said this and I immediately believe it, and another person says this and I don't believe it. Why is that, when I have no information from either one of them as to how I should believe them? So the Matrix, it's working.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to write a song. You need to write a song called Information Overload.
Oh, I already have. I got so many things coming. The,
Cool.
the thing about the thing about writing lyrics is that I see all this stuff like a lot of people see it. I want to find a clever way to sing about it. I just don't want to
Yeah.
just say it. This is how, the world's in a bad place. Why
Right.
don't we
Right.
fix it? Why don't we fix it? I go, the whole world is crying for love everywhere. It
Yeah.
just seems like a better way to say the
Yeah.
same
Sure.
fucking thing,
I
you
agree.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, you got the Christian background. That helps a lot. Keeps you stable, right?
The Christian background. What is that?
Oh,
Tell me about
what?
that one. No, no,
What?
no.
What
I'm
was
always
it?
I'm always curious what people get, because I don't know what I do. I just know what people tell me.
What you were
So
brought up? Was it your great grandmother?
uh-huh.
Was she what, Baptist? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Okay.
she was Baptist. But if you're
Right.
talking about religious about that, I was trying to write a Beatles song. Pretty much. I mean, the whole, what is it? What the world needs, a perfect harmony, and those kind of
Oh,
songs.
okay.
And I thought, I'm going to write me one of those songs. And so, close one eye, make you cry. Heaven, heaven was, heaven, what man, I was reading about the
Mhm.
Anunnaki, and finding out that heaven is not the heaven that the Christians think it is. Heaven is a place where they kept the humans. It's a prison.
Oh
And
no.
so I did, and so I threw that in there from a very, because everything I write when it comes religiously is
Right.
from a place of questioning.
Okay.
You know, always people have misunderstood that, but I've always
Mm.
questioned, what is this? It gives me hope. What is this? Tell me that it's true.
Right.
They
Right.
miss those little lines. And the thing is you know, I've always been honest with everything that I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And as a Christian, I thought it was important to let everybody know that I'm a Christian, but there's something off here that I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not afraid to say something about it. You
Right.
want to talk about it, and they didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
And, you know, and it became that lump. He's a Christian, you know, but, you know, we weren't. We were like just kids trying to find the truth that made sense to us.
Sure.
Anyway.
Sure.
Anyway, what the, you know, and then there's another line in hold on, Cinderland, Take My Hand. I didn't have a line for that, and Ty came up with that. I said, I got this line here, Ty, and it just doesn't seem to work. And he said, Cinderland, take my hand. And I'm going, that's perfect, because take my hand and 2 words before that were working, but this one line. And when Ty said Cinderland, it was such a conflict or a opposite from heaven, you know.
Right.
And I thought, you know, it's all about imagery. And
Right.
the bottom line is, no matter what the imagery is, you can make an assumption of who I am from those lines, but it's not true, because my point is the whole world is crying for love. That's always the point. Everything I write, there's always 1 or 2 lines of that my point is. The rest of it is just me telling you how I got to that point. And people misunderstand that, but hey, that's the fun of it. Okay. I give my time back.
The next few tracks to me sound prog. They sound very prog.
Yes.
Yeah. Holidays, Watcher, you know, they sound prog to me. I love them. Holidays, they come and go. It's sad to think of how time flies, but then again, the world has little but the ordinary to satisfy the lies. Great lyrics. Love the lyrics.
Jerry Gaskell can write some really deep lyrics.
Right, right.
You know, we all 3 of us envy each other in a way that is, and it's not that we envy each other's lyrics because Ty can come up with a lyric in a second. I can write a song about our conversation right now.
Right.
Jerry can write a song about, he can eloquently put things that are way down in you and bring it up where you just take a deep breath and almost cry. You know, you're not to blame for all their pain. I mean, what parent, you know, what parent doesn't blame themselves for their children, you know? True. And I was thinking, how do you reach out for that one? I'm thinking of that, man. That's some deep shit right there. So I think we all touch different aspects of life in general. But I can't say, I can say Ty can do all of it, actually. But I think he just can come up with the things really quick.
Now, the last track of the album, is that you? Everywhere?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
It's got to be you. The whole world is crying for love. The whole world for love. Everywhere. I mean, that's you.
Everywhere. Yep. That's what I was talking about. Right. That's what I was talking about earlier, because I thought you had asked me about that one, but I'm sorry. I might have misunderstood you. Anyway.
That's all right.
Yeah.
The album's great, man. You guys did a wonderful job. 5 stars.
Thank you. Sorry I talked so much about it. I'm excited about this record.
Yeah, you should be.
I don't
get very excited.
Thank you. I don't get this intricate usually about it. After we've been doing this for so long, it just seems like you get a handle on what you're doing rather than just doing it, you know?
the tour begins. You're going to go on tour.
Yeah.
Thursday, September 1st, you'll be in Germany, Munich.
No.
No? That's what I got.
Sadly enough,
No?
that whole tour is canceled.
You're kidding me. Really?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
It's not been broadcast. I thought it was.
No.
Ty's got a immune problem, and his doctor says he can't go do this.
Oh, wow.
So we canceled again.
Even in US, huh? US tour too?
Well, the shows that are coming up in 2 months, we're doing those shows because he's able to play weekends, but doing a whole tour in a tour bus, he'd have to wear a mask and do all this crazy stuff in it.
Right.
And the doctors say his chances are he'd catch something and die. So yeah. And so he's doing tests right now to find out what actually the problem is and how to fix it.
Okay. Well, the U.S. dates start on October 19th, and I guess we'll see what happens, huh?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do them. Yeah, I can't wait to do them.
Yeah,
we're gonna try to do most of the album too.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. All right, Joy Bomb. Let me tell you, man, I was blown away. I mean, you got some talent.
Oh, bless your heart.
You did incredible on this. This is an album I can listen to over and over and over again. And I'm serious.
Oh, thank you. I've always wanted to hear somebody say that about
I
a
love
solo
it.
record. Thank you.
Some of the songs I love on this album, Key Changer. I want to hear the music everywhere I go. I want it. You know who would like that song? Who would like to do that song? Robin Trower. It sounds like something that you could sing on a Robin Trower record, you know?
I'd like to hear Larry Graham do it.
Larry Graham? Okay.
Graham Central Station, because that's what it is. I want to hear.
Right.
Everywhere I go, I want to hear. That's totally Graham Central Station.
Well, Trower's got a lot of R&B in his psychedelia, also. So
I can hear that though. The riff,
yep.
Especially, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is such a great song, man. I love it.
Thank you.
I grew up with R&B. I grew up in DC. I love all the R&B guys, you know. My dad had a business on 13th and F Street, and we had Lowe's Palace 2 doors from us. And we had the OJs, we had the Whispers, the Stylistics, all those guys came there. James Brown, you know, the Funkadelics, you know, Ohio Players. So I grew up with all that. So I know where you're coming from when you.
Awesome.
And Equally Divided reminded me of War a little bit.
You know, Cisco Kid was a friend of mine. You're right.
But they do a lot of other stuff that is kind of more towards this, you know?
You know, making that record, it was like a period, maybe a couple years before that, I was like at a dead end when it came to songwriting.
Right.
And it was like a lull for me. And I just thought, you know, whatever I come up with just sounds like the same old thing.
Yeah.
And I can't, and so I said to myself, well, instead of trying to impress yourself with something that you think you came up with or something, go back to your roots and just go back to ground zero. What did you love? What moved you when you were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old that made you get up and dance around? And that's where that record came from. I just went back to far roots, the ones that I don't consciously use anymore. And I went back to those and just says, if it don't feel good, don't do it. And it was all about feeling on those songs in that aspect of an emotion.
You've got some direct messages here too. Like, I can't fight this feelings about a friend of yours who was a heroin addict, right?
Yeah, I wrote that song in 2005, and
Yeah.
it was in my archive of songs, and I played it for a friend of mine right before that when I was compiling that record up, and I played it for him, and I said, "Yeah, I wrote this about 15, almost 20 years ago," and he said, "Man, you should put that on a record." And I thought, okay. I couldn't find the files for it. All I had was the 2-track mix that I had of it. So I just
Right.
had him master it and put it was, yeah, that was an old song, but it was relevant at to put it out at that moment for me. And my boy that the song's about, he's in his 40s, now, and he's okay.
Oh,
He made
good.
it. But
Oh,
there
that's good to
were
hear for a
times when,
change. Yeah.
yeah.
I lost a really good cousin of mine to drugs.
Yeah.
Lots of rehabs, didn't work,
Oh, yeah. We could talk about that a lot.
I know,
So,
I know. We all went
yeah.
through stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And John Boy, that came across because your mama, right? You were hearing Lordy, Lordy, Mama.
Literally, this might sound morbid, but my mom passed, and I was sitting in the studio,
Right.
thinking about her. I had just been told that morning, and I booked my flight to go home, and I just sat in the chair, and I was playing that song. Sometimes when things happen in my life, I just start playing songs.
Right.
And got to that chorus, and I went, "Lordy, Lordy, Lordy, Mama, who that knocking on your door?" And I thought, this is so weird, and I went with it, and all those words came out, and I turned the tape off, and I backed up, and I'm going, now that's kind of weird, and I said, I'm just gonna leave it. And that's what I did.
It's an incredible song. It really is.
Thank you.
Yeah, you said it was like Little Richard singing in a church, right?
It was. Lordy, Lordy, Lordy,
Yeah.
Mama, who that knocking at your door? Yeah, it was all about Little Richard
Oh
because
yeah.
I think my mom and Little Richard are. There was childhood memories as a very young child that we connect on, because she said that when she would turn the record player off, I would start crying, and she said I would say, gimme yeah, gimme yeah, gimme yeah. And she said I couldn't speak English. I mean, I couldn't talk. I was too young. And what I was saying was, yeah, gimme yeah. I was hearing that song and they were saying yeah.
Right.
And that's what I wanted to hear. And so to those two connections kind of gave me this memory. And so that's where that sound came from, sort of like my mom just passed and I'm having a moment of a childhood moment. I remember a lot of things when I was young, when I was 3, 4, 1.5. Some of those things, I can tell you those stories, and so that was just one of them.
That it's so cool how you can relive those childhood memories, especially me too. I can remember when I was 2 years old. I got a good memory like that, but I can't put them to lyrics. So I write books. So that's me.
That's even
growing up in the family better. Business.
Good for you, man. That's even better, because you have more time to explain it and bring people to that place. That's beautiful. People are listening to music. They want a verse, chorus, and in a bridge, and we're done. Maybe one chorus at the end.
Yeah. You know what? You'd be a great sci-fi writer. I think. I got a feeling you could write some.
The only from I could maybe write some stories from paranormal experiences. I am such a sci-fi fanatic. From Buster Crabbe doing
way back.
Oh yeah, I'd come home from school and turn the TV on, and there is this spaceship going this way, wobbling with sparks coming out of it, and there's clouds going past, and they're going to Mars. Okay,
The 50s.
so that's when we didn't even know that there was no air out there.
Yeah.
Okay, back in the 50s, we did not know there was no air out there.
Yeah.
We didn't know. That was what, 50 years, 100 years ago now.
Yeah.
What is
I
it?
know.
So yeah, so I've been into sci-fi forever, and the Bible. You know, as a child growing up, Revelation was my favorite book. I read that thing a couple
The
times.
Bible is
obsessed with
sci-fi.
Oh well, now when when I put the Anunnaki story together
Yeah.
with the Bible, I just go, oh, it all makes sense now. It was
Right.
just an alien.
Yeah,
And before
exactly.
because before there's so much that didn't make sense for me just to dismiss as, oh, that's the way God wants it. I'm going, no.
Right.
There's too many contradictions. There's
Right.
crazy shit going on.
There
That you're
is.
telling me that this is an omnipotent, kind of this ain't. I don't get it. But when the Anunnaki thing popped up, I'm going, oh, there it is. And I go, I can maybe believe in this shit now. Because
Exactly.
I had really I got to that point where I dismissed the Bible as, okay, it's just another religion of many, and I'm not gonna die for it. But now I look back and go, oh, that was close encounter of an alien. That the fourth, fifth, sixth kind. It's whatever. They've been working us for a long damn time.
Exactly.
That's why I say. What if the truth was a lie?
Yeah.
Because in the Bible even says, and at the end times, the whole world will. What is it? The deception will be revealed. And sometimes it makes me wonder, everything that everybody believes was a lie. Will that be revealed to the world? You never know. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a great line to sing it.
It is.
It works.
It's a great line.
Thank you.
Now we come to the Sly song, Social Distancing. Wow. What a great song. If Sly heard that, you got to play it for him one day.
I hope he does. I hope I get a chance. But the story with Sly is, I don't think Sly would care, because Miles Davis went over to his house one day,
right,
and he had heard, according to the new bass player for the Sly and the Family Stone that was on tour about 10 years ago.
Okay.
He told me he loves to tell me stories, and he says that the story goes, Bitches Brew had come out, and Sly hadn't said nothing to him about it, to Miles Davis. Didn't call him, say, I like your record or nothing. And he got so upset about it, because he had asked him, what do you think about it? And he never got back to him. So he went to his mansion and pulled out a pistol and put it to Sly's head and says, you ain't listening to my record, and you ain't telling me what you think of it. And he said, Sly said, all you gotta do is ask me. Put the gun down. And so Sly stopped his recording, what he was doing, and he got the record and he put it on and played the whole record from front to back. Then he, according to what he says, he looked at Miles Davis and said, so my shit's still better than yours. And because remember, Miles wanted to sound like Sly, because Sly really inspired Bitches Brew and a couple other records.
Yeah.
And so that whole ego, but I had to tell that story. So anyway, I don't know if Sly would care, but yes, it was my rendition of If You Want Me to Stay.
You did a great job. Did a great job.
Even the bass line, I found myself playing Larry Graham, and I went, Douglas, should you do this? And I'm going, yeah. Who cares? At this point, I've written so many fucking songs. At this point, I'm just gonna bleed my influences. I don't care.
Sure, why not? You did. Instead of doing a cover and sounding just like Sly, you did your own thing, which was great. You know what I mean?
Isn't
that's
that
clever?
It's not clever. It's what we're all inspiring to do.
Right.
Well, maybe we're not. Maybe I think a lot of people are trying to be the opposite and failing miserably.
Yeah, I think you're right. I had Greg Arico on the show. Sly's drummer.
I played with him. But tell me the story. Tell me about him.
No, he's a great guy. Even he doesn't talk to Sly anymore.
Oh no, I know.
Unfortunately.
Well, according to those guys, is Sly put a hitman out on Larry Graham, and Larry will never join that band again.
Really?
They said
Is that right?
Cynthia said that it will
Mm.
never happen. Now I got to play. Buddy Miles
Cynthia
passed
was
away.
awesome. I love Cynthia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
she
She was
was.
great.
Buddy,
She was great.
Buddy, Buddy Miles. I had to tell you a story real quick, and I'll give you your
Mhm.
time back.
Sure.
Buddy Miles had passed away, and I knew Buddy, and I did
Right.
a little thing with him. And I was asked to come to a memorial and just to sing some cover tunes with the opening band, which was Buddy Miles's band.
Right.
And who was playing drums? Gregorico.
Greg.
And Billy Cox was scheduled to play bass the whole evening, and he never showed up. I drove in to sing a couple cover songs. Now, mind you, Buddy Miles and Sly and the Family Stone were two of my favorite all-time bands, and I learned how to play bass on their records, okay?
Okay.
And something said to me, you got a 3-hour drive to Austin, bring your bass with you. And I'm going, I ain't bring my bass. What am I gonna do? Something said to me, bring your bass. And I threw it in the trunk. Got there and they said, Billy Cox isn't coming. We need a bass player. Do you know any Buddy songs? I'm going, are you kidding me? And then he says, and some members of Sly and the Family Stone are showing up also, and they're going to do some Sly songs. Do you know any? And I'm going, yes, I knew them all. And Greg sat down and we did Midnight Rider and Them Changes and on down the line. I just played bass. I didn't sing. Then other people singing. And then we got around to Sly and the Family Stone and we did Want to Take You Higher, Singing a Simple Song, Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself. And there was one other, I can't remember. And I was like, it was one of the most surreal moments I have ever fucking experienced, to the point where I can't remember it because it's so vivid in my head.
Right.
It's like the pictures are so strong, I can't reel it in just to enjoy the moment of it. It was just like, boom. And I'm driving home going, what the fuck happened? Oh my God. It was unbelievable.
Buddy was a great guitar player too.
Yes, he was, upside down and backwards too.
Upside, exactly. Speaking of guitars, did you play some slide on your album? Was that on Love and Fear? Love and Fear?
Yeah, Love and Fear.
I really surprised me, man. And your guitar work on this album is awesome. I didn't know you played great guitar like that.
I honestly got to say one thing though. I played slide guitar on that song you were talking about.
Love and Fear.
What is it we were called? Oh, Love and Fear. Yeah.
Yep.
But on the slide on the other song, that was done by a friend of mine named Frank Falbo.
Okay.
And on the credits it tells you who played leads, because I'm not a lead player, but I played lead on The Poison. And lead on, there was one other song I played lead on, but anyway, it's on the credits. But I'm not a lead player. I consider myself not a lead player, so I had other people come in to nail the lead.
Okay.
But all the guitar work, it's me. Yeah.
And you're a great bass player, by the way.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Playing guitar is something that I've written on keyboards and guitar and since I was 18 songs.
Right.
I never sat down to learn to play guitar or keyboards. I just plunk away and find these things and then write a song around it. And through the years of writing songs, I learned to play guitar to the point where I can play now. But there was never a day where I thought I'm going to be a guitar player, and nor I think that I'm a guitar player. But bass player, I'm a bass player through and through. I love bass, and if you gave me a bass and put me in the corner in front of a rig and let me play all night long, I would do it. I would do it. That is my comfort love spot. Don't give me a mic. I don't want no mic. Just let me
today's
just
been
feel
a bass.
that.
Today's been a bass day for me. I had Jeff Berlin on earlier today.
Oh wow!
You know Jeff?
Yes. I don't know him. I've met him, but
another incredible bass player. And of course, he teaches. As well. Lives in
Those
Nashville
guys,
now.
I hate those guys. I love them at the same time
I
because
know
they're just so fucking good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like God, the
Yeah.
discipline and the
I know.
love you have to put in that.
You do.
You know, I tried. First time I ever heard Stanley Clark back in the 70s. I never heard a bass player go,
right.
And I'm going, oh my God. And I had just started playing bass and I play with my fingers. So I'd go, and I would try and keep trying. And after maybe 5 minutes of it, I went, I'm never going to figure this out. And I gave up. And somebody said, no, you got to just do it for hours and hours and hours.
You do.
I don't do nothing for hours and hours and hours and hours
I know what you mean.
hours. Oh, but one thing, but that's what we all do. But
yeah. I'm like you. I play guitar. I play by ear. I took lessons, but I didn't want to get into theory and all that other shit, you know?
Yeah.
I just want to play.
You need just enough to tell everybody what you're doing.
Right.
You don't have to count frets.
Yeah.
I know bands that count frets, you know. It's like it's on the 5th fret, 6th fret, and 7th fret.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going, A, you know, and I mean, you don't even know those. And a guy told me one time, I says, how do you know the notes on your bass? He said, draw a bass on a piece of paper and then put the frets on it.
Right.
On the neck. And then he said, and write down, fill chart, write them down. And he says, when you write them down, you'll never forget it. And I wrote it down and I crumbled the paper up. And I knew it all made sense. Everything was the same pattern. I'm going, oh, that's what this is. I go,
exactly.
Oh, and it was like I thought I had hit a gold mine, you know, because you know, playing bass was my ultimate dream. I was 22.
Yeah. Some other great songs on the album. I just want to mention real quick. Great lyrics. The Poison, which is about the crap you eat in your food, I guess, basically. Truly.
Yeah.
Which is good idea. I like that. Making sense of the bones.
Yeah.
Fighting over who's the best master, like sheep being bled at the altar. And then you mentioned we are fighting over who's the best master, the left, the right, the God King, the Trumps, the Bidens. So true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't want to name names.
Right. It all makes sense, you know? It does make sense.
I keep trying to say it, but it's not going to work anymore. So I'm going to have to find a new tactic. But I keep trying to say, everybody, there's still a middle ground. We can do this. There's still a middle ground.
There's a middle ground.
And no one's interested anymore.
No.
Well, no one. It just seems like, well, I'll put it this way. The silent are the ones who are becoming the majority. Yep. As soon as we realize that, we might be able to stand up.
That's true.
You know, what if there was another party that came along that
I'm for that.
At least the balance of the two, because I can put up with some stuff, but not everything.
Let's have 4 parties.
I heard that 4 is crazy, but see, to me, 3 actually, well, 3 would fuck everything up.
Yeah, good. I'll belong to that third party. How's that?
I would too. I would too. I might even start it. No.
Why don't you? I'll vote for you. How's that?
Thank you.
Just based on your album.
Yeah, I got a whole lot to say. For me, what I always say though is that, you know, people say, Doug, why don't you run for president? You know, look what's already ran. And I go, no, because all you gotta do is go on the internet. Yeah. And there's more shit that you can pull out on me, just like everybody else.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like at that point, it's like, you know, oh, fuck that. That would be a shit show that I wouldn't want to be a part of. I'm too
You know
old
what?
for that shit.
We're probably both too honest for politics anyway.
That's the problem. We're too honest.
We're too honest.
And everybody would hate us.
We tell it like it is, you know?
Yeah.
Can't hold anything back.
And whether it hurts someone's feelings, you try to say it in a constructive way to help them, to enlighten them. Sure. You know, that this is black and this is white, and this is gray, and
Right.
you can't you see the colors and how they're mixing them? See what's going on here and there. See, they're both dangling in
Right.
front of you, making you see two different colors, but it's the same fucking thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
At the end of the day, nobody's winning. At the end of
No,
the day, nobody's
nobody's
life is
winning.
any
You're
better.
right. Nobody's winning.
Never. I grew up in the 50s and 60s where black people couldn't get nothing. And I live right now in this same fucking thing, just done in a different way. It's oppressing the lesser. And it's because of the way that US is built. What it was built on. There's no critical race theory.
Right.
There's nothing to be ashamed of. They're your fucking grandparents and relatives that did it. You ain't a racist. It's them. So stop blaming you for everybody else. That happened a long time ago. Get the fuck over it. We're all broke. We're all poor. There's more white trash, poor people in America than there are black people in any ghetto in the world. And they've got us fooled, hating each other when we all want the same goddamn thing.
That's what it is. They got us to hate each other. They did, not us.
No.
I grew up in the 60s. Everything was cool, man. I grew up in DC. We had great communication.
Right.
I'll admit, in high school, I had more black friends than white friends. I got bused to a black school.
Well,
everything was cool. Everything was fine. I didn't get beat up.
Then you were cool. You were, good. Bless your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem I had during shop class, we played a game called Tonk that they told me how to play, and we bet for money. And if I won, I didn't get anything. If they won, I had to pay them. That was the rule.
That is. The funny thing about black culture is that it's pretty brutal in some ways, but it is that way. Right. And it's just like going to Texas. You can beat somebody up and then have a beer and your best friends.
Right. Exactly.
And it's like there's just a culture that is just accepted. But yeah, you're right. It's sort of like, remember Dave Chappelle doing the real with a black group of people? That is how we used to treat not we, but that is how black people would treat white people. And I saw it. And I'm going, oh my God, they're brutal. Just some black people. I think it was because of the oppression, there was an attitude. And it was in the culture. So, both sides of the fence, we were has their prejudice and their idiosyncrasies. Sure. I grew up in an all-white town. There wasn't an all-white town. There were 4 black families in the town. And when I went to grade school, I was the only black kid in my school. And there were 3 others had graduated before me. And then my whole family for generations had went to that school. So my family for 4 generations lived amongst nothing but white people, basically. There was 1 or 2 black people in the school. So we could read and write. We were very articulate even before black people could go to school. My great-grandmother, whose daughter was a daughter of an ex-slave, could read and write. And that was something that didn't happen for 30 years before that, after that. Yeah. So I grew up with white people. So I got to see that side of it. And then I moved into a black area, and it was about a third of the kids were black and the rest of the kids were white, and they were all rich. So I got to see 2 sides of the coin. Right. And that's why I understand a lot of things that some people don't understand, like when rap came out, and the N-words happening. And all of a sudden, white kids are saying it, and black folks are getting mad. And I'm going, well, why? You're saying it. You're making money on it. You're telling them they can say it. What the fuck, And then, you know what I'm saying? And back when I was growing up, we didn't like white people saying the word because. And I asked my cousin, why is it that you don't like it when a white person says it? And they said because they don't say it right, Doug. Oh. I was a little kid, and they don't say it right. And then I learned that, and I heard people say that word, white people say that word, and it gave me chills. It made me feel like they hated me. And but then when black people start saying it in rap music, the kids picked up on how to say it cool.
Right.
And they got it. They figured it out. They weren't trying to say, you know, when a white guy says to his white friends, take care of my nigga. And he gets, and as all his records get pulled, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, how can you say something in front of somebody and then say they can't say it back?
Right.
That's a fucking hypocrite.
Right.
Get the fuck out of my face. Okay. You know, it really pisses me off, you know, but anyway, and this whole politically correct thing drives me crazy.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Don was one of my best friends. He wore a Confederate flag on his guitar.
Right.
I didn't give a fuck because I knew what he meant.
Yeah.
And Phil would make fun of saying Heil Hitler and shit like that. Yeah. I knew he was making fun of it because we would talk about it and laugh about it.
Yeah.
And I remember he said, I'm going to go out there and go Heil Hitler. I'm going, maybe you might not should do that. And he was drunk and went out and did it. Yeah. And we were laughing at him. He says, man, remember when I used to wear a t-shirt that says, what does it say? White power? No, white. We black people put out t-shirts that say black power, right? We were wearing them everywhere. So he put out a t-shirt that says white power. And he says, I'm just trying to say, why can't we all say things like that?
That's right.
As innocently as he could. He was trying to tell the world that these things don't make us racist.
Right, exactly.
That's what Phil was saying, and he was misrepresented just like everything else. So anyway,
you know,
oh man, that was a long battle. I'll give you your time back.
Well, no, in the corporate world, the diversity bullshit. Because I was in the corporate world for a while. I was in the banking industry. They force it down your throats. Yeah. Okay. The politicians, the same thing. Exactly what you're saying. You know, politically correct. That's bullshit. Okay. When I was growing up, everybody, you know, we were so cool. The only thing I didn't like was the groups. You know, you had the hippies, you had the, you know, the sports guys. You know, we didn't get, and we had greasers back then. Yeah, the guys with the slick back hair and the switchblades.
Oh yeah.
The hippies and the greasers did not get along. I had fights with those guys.
Fuck, I remember those days too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. You know, that's what I was going to say. That's why my best friend was a 6'3" black guy named Terry Broadway. Awesome. And me and Terry went everywhere together. And there was a blonde chick that hung around us too. And everybody called us the Mod Squad.
That's awesome. I love that. See, now if anybody did that, they'd be called racist.
Racist, yes.
Oh, you guys look like the Mod Squad.
Exactly.
You know, and you know, somebody, I saw this comedian, and he says, you know, you can say things without offending people and say things by just one word. When you use the word motherfucker, he says, what was he saying? I saw some motherfuckers who, what was it? He said, I saw some motherfuckers who look like the Mod Squad. And then he could say, I can't, you know, I'll backtrack and cut that out, but it was a joke and I'm no good at telling them. So pass it on over and I'll send you the link to you.
Okay.
But
all right,
anyway,
cool.
I was going to say though, to add to what you were talking about, getting along, the 80s got that way because MTV came along and told everybody that everybody was cool. You can be cool, you can be gay, you can be this, you can be that. Right. And all of a sudden, all the kids were mixing and mingling.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, everybody was loving on each other, and all these brown babies were showing up, and white kids were sounding like they're black, and black kids were sounding like they were white. And now what did they do? The algorithms had to fix that.
Unbelievable.
The grid has to get
everything
that. They're too powerful. You know, in the Bible it says when they're building the Tower of Babel, and it says God said we have to go down and do something here, because if we let this tower keep going or building this tower, they will become like us. It's the same thing. If we all get smart enough, we gonna figure it out and go, no, not this time. You ain't gonna rise up. You know. Anyway, we're talking religion that I will not die. But I won't
agree
die
though,
for.
Man. David Chappelle, he's a smart guy, isn't he? He's an intelligent guy.
Him and George Carlin.
Yeah, George Carlin. Eddie Murphy I always loved. I loved Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy made sense. George Carlin spoke exactly what I've been trying to think and put together in my head. And Dave Chappelle went into that place that made some of the most terriblest things look so hilarious.
Right.
You know, the black KKK guy, you know. Oh, dude, he divorced his wife because he was married to a nigga. She was. When he said that, I laughed my brains out. In the nigger family. Oh, man. When he pulled that out, I went, okay, let's see where we go with that one. You know, I wish I had the balls like that. I wish I had those kind of balls.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and you could say that, I guess. They get on us for saying it.
I know.
Here's your final two questions.
Okay.
All right. First of all, what was your first concert that you ever went to?
First concert I ever went to, it's one or the other, and I'm not sure. I was 12, and my uncle took me and his daughter to see Ray Charles.
Oh, Ray Charles!
In a theater in Chicago.
Nice. Very nice.
But at the same time, I was living with my grandmother. She raised me basically till I was 14. She went out of town, which she never did, and left me there for my aunt to keep an eye on. And there was a spot that the high school was putting on, but in the grade school gym. And I said to my aunt, can I go to the dance? And she said, yeah. She said, sure. And I remember I was so puzzled because my great grandma who raised me wouldn't let me go anywhere, especially it was sin, you know. And so I went, and there was this band playing, and I remember they were playing a song called Louie Louie, something like that, or something that was going to dun 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 dun. And that's all I remember, and I don't remember who was playing. What was on the stage, what kind of amps or anything. All I remember was standing in front of something that I never experienced before. And I was just trying to suck it all in at the same time without words. And I remember when the band would stop, I'd turn around and there were about 10 or 11 kids on the dance floor, and they were like teenagers, and they would look at me and smile because there were all these white kids, and I was this little black kid, this little skinny black kid standing right in front of the stage just watching. And I'll never forget that moment. So those are the two things that I've ever saw a live concert. I saw some things on TV, you know, American Bandstand and all that kind of stuff, and the Beatles on TV. I never saw the Beatles, but I saw everybody else. From the Rolling Stones, Slide, Jimi Hendrix, but I didn't have a TV when the Beatles came. All my friends did, and I'm glad I didn't. Go ahead, sorry.
My first concert was Jose Feliciano and Curtis Mayfield.
In the same bill?
Yeah. And Curtis Mayfield just came out. He was just about ready to come out with Superfly, you know, and Freddie's Dead, and
it wasn't out yet?
No, it wasn't out yet. It was just about ready to come out.
Must have been an amazing show because he must have been on it.
Oh, man. You know, he did People Get Ready and, you know. All this.
God. What a great
Curtis Mayfield was a badass dude. He really was.
Yeah.
Now, listen to this concert. Baltimore. I saw Rare Earth, the Funkadelics, the Ohio Players. 14,000 people. I was the only white guy there. And I had a blast. I had a ball, man. I was dancing with all the girls.
Wow, what a show. Was it the Funkadelic Parliament, the funk, or
before that? It was, they had
so you got to see the Mega Brain.
Yeah, and the Mothership.
Okay, the Mothership. Okay.
He came out in a diaper.
Okay, now I know where you're at then. Okay, because there's different eras of them.
Right.
Oh my God, Funkadelic. Their first two records were what changed my life. They told me that, and Bandit Gypsies told me that I can do this because it was soul music on 12.
Cosmic Slop, right? They did the Cosmic Slop, I
Oh,
think, back then.
yes, I love that
Yeah,
song. Excuse my expression.
yeah. And the Ohio Players had Funky Worm, but
Mm-hmm.
then they didn't have any of their big hits yet. This was
Mm.
I was so impressed by the Ohio Players and their brass section, man. They were incredible. You know,
Yeah, I hated the brass. I hated
really.
the sad thing about it was after Sly
Hmm.
and Buddy Miles, because Sly and Buddy had guitars, electric guitars. They had this aggression,
Right.
and there was a rock and roll drop to them. Then right after that era in Funkadelic, in the rock era,
Yeah.
it was like 70, 72, 73. All of a sudden there was a shift in the consciousness of the Black community. And
Uh-huh.
all of a sudden we had Ohio Players and we had the Commodores and you could name the bands. There were 30 or 40 of them,
Yeah.
Mandrill, and
Right,
just keep
Mandrill.
on going. And yes,
Yeah.
going and going. And when those bands came out, for me personally, there was no heavy guitar.
Right.
There was no angst.
Right.
And I went, what the fuck is this? And I didn't play them. I did not listen to any of those bands. What I did, my friend came over with Chicago Transit Authority
Right.
and Led Zeppelin. And I went, I'm going this direction because these white boys are playing soul music like I want to play. and I, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, everybody was coming from that thing that I felt. And again, because I've grown up with white people more than Black people in my life, I guess I have that mindset. So that's where my mind wanted to go.
Yeah.
And so that's
funny.
that's what turned it around. So when people talk about the 70s funk bands, I don't play them, but lately I've pulled a couple out, and because like you talking about Ohio Players, I definitely will pull out Ohio Players records out after you get done and give one a listen. And I remember I saw another. It was a Kool and the Gang and the Average White Band.
Yep.
Lately, I've pulled out like maybe one or two songs, or maybe their hit song, and listen to it, and I'll go, yeah, no wonder this fucking song ruled the world. Okay, listen to what's going on here. And I'm going, oh my God, because at that point in my life, which is now, I'm open to everything. Back then I was just this dumb kid that was picky about things. It had to be this or that, or I wasn't going to listen to it if it didn't have this element. Now I go back to all that shit and go, what was it about? Even the Doors, I hated the Doors. And now I went back and listened to them at the Whiskey, that live show, and I just went, wow, wow. And so, music is never, you can never stop rediscovering something that you discovered and fell in love with 30 years ago.
And there's a lot of good new music out there, there really is. Just gotta find it.
That's what I tell people too, because the new music world, they say, oh, music world sucks and there's nothing out there, there's nothing inspiration. I'm going, come on. I said every week, every Tuesday, I go up to the new releases and I play as many as I can. And there's always maybe one gem in there that I go, there it is. Then you look them up. They've got 5 records out and they're packing out bars. And I'm going, no, they're out there, they're killing. You just ain't listening. And here's the other thing. It's just a scenario. When I was listening to the Allman Brothers, I took my Allman Brothers record to my uncle and said, check this out. And he goes, that ain't blues. This is blues. And he put on Muddy Waters.
Yeah.
And I put my head down. And I don't ever want to do that to the youngins. I want to go, see what you're doing there? That's you. That's your interpretation, man. Do it to the hilt.
Doug, you know what I'm doing now? I'm bringing in a lot of bands from overseas that aren't getting recognized here and bringing them on my show.
Wow.
Most of them are prog rock. So I'm bringing guys from Norway and Germany, and you know, because they don't get too much exposure here. And I listened to them and I said, man, these guys are great. And like you said, they got 3 or 4 albums out already.
Really good singers. Too.
Yes.
That's what gets me. It's like, these boys can sing.
Yep. And with Zoom, I can do that now, which is awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, man. Here's your final question. I ask
Okay.
everybody this question, and I get some very interesting answers.
Mhm.
If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform or collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
I would like to play bass in the Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Oh yeah, you'd be good at it.
I,
I can see you with Jimmy.
I think I could be,
Yeah.
because I would hold it down and let him do his thing, and I liked, I mean, the difference between Buddy Miles and uh Mitch Mitchell
Mm-hmm.
was like night and day.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what era I would have loved to play bass in,
Right.
but I would have probably done my best with Buddy Miles because he was really solid and simple.
Yep.
But as a bass player who, I would rather play with Mitch Mitchell because he was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I would have learned where the one was, because that guy. There are times that I'm going, where are you at? I don't know
Yeah.
anymore. You are all over the place. I mean, he's got his time, but I would lose him. And I know that I would have got lost in Hendrix just like that band did, but that's what I loved about that.
Mm-hmm.
When I did the Hendrix tribute thing with Joe Satriani and Kenny Aronoff, we did live Hendrix songs, and there were a couple songs where it got off because of the intensity and craziness, just like on the record.
Right.
And when we'd find ourselves and come back, and it was just it was so much fun, and then laugh about it, because that's kind of what Hendrix did. They just would
Mm-hmm.
get lost in each other's craziness. So that made me appreciate that much more. I don't know if it would have been as fun doing it with Hendrix as I think it would have been. But anyway, yeah, you asked a question and I went down that rabbit hole. I'll yield your time back to you now, sir.
You know, you and Hendrix would have meshed very well because you got similar personalities in a way. You just
I think so, and
you
maybe
think
not.
no.
Maybe not, because he was larger than life with what
Yeah,
he did,
but he
and
didn't think so. You know,
yeah,
he didn't think so.
yeah, but I would have been larger than life. I would have been the me that I am now,
Mm-hmm.
and it would have clashed with him. I'm sure of it. And my hypothesis is that might be the reason why him and Buddy only lasted one record, because I know
Right.
Buddy, and he's larger than life.
Yep.
And people, there's got to be the alpha, and then there's got to be the omegas.
Yeah.
There's got to be that. Well, and not in all bands, but somebody as dynamic as Jimi Hendrix was, there was no room for
Yep.
anybody's ego but to follow what this man was doing.
Right.
And so I in my old age now would follow everything that he did
Mm-hmm.
happily, because
Yeah.
I understand what a bass player does now, what he's supposed to do. But
Right.
back then, I was so insecure that if he had told me to play something a certain way or say he didn't like something that I did, I would have clammed down and just became this little cowering kid that over there just barely playing. That's
Yeah.
who I was back then.
Yeah.
You had to tell me, you had to be nice to me to get your point across, because I was like, nobody told me I was shitty. So when you did give me a constructive compliment, I didn't know how to deal with it. I
Yeah.
had no fucking clue, because of the way I was raised as a child. Yeah, you say something wrong with me, I'm not perfect. Oh no, it's the end of the world. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god, I hate myself. I'm terrible. I'm terrible. It took me years to get through that, but
you know,
that's then.
if King's X was around when Jimmy was playing,
Mm-hmm.
Billy Cox wouldn't have showed up, and he would have called you, and you would have been in the experience.
No, the thing was, let me see. Jimmy came out in '68. I was 18. I
You were
hadn't even
18.
started
That
playing.
was old
Yeah,
enough. Yeah.
I hadn't started playing bass, so I started playing bass when I was 23.
Oh,
So
okay.
Buddy Miles and Jimmy had already. Well, Jimmy was dead by the time I started playing bass.
Yeah.
So
That sucks. The
yeah.
rumor is, and I've talked to people that swear by this, that knew Jimmy, his direction, he was going to join Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Have you heard that?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't going to do that. But what Jimmy wanted to do, it's amazing how rumors get so crazy. What he wanted to do was move more into, it says low power mode. Okay, we can still do this. Continue. We're going to do this. Here I am. Okay. I don't think I'll lose you. It's got a couple more seconds.
Okay.
But what Jimmy did, he just wanted to move over more into a jazz kind of thing,
like
improv kind of thing.
Maybe?
Yeah, a fusion thing like Miles Davis, because Miles and Sly and Jimmy were kind of at each other's heels, and they were inspiring each other. Because Miles was into Jimmy, and Miles wanted to sound like Sly and the Family Stone, and Jimmy wanted to have a brass section like Sly. According to stories of these guys, I've hung out some of these old guys, and I hung out with Billy Cox on the tour, and he told me a lot of cool stories.
Right.
And so I got in Taj Mahal telling me stories about all this stuff. So I got it from the horse's mouth because they were there. And even Buddy told me some stories of being right in the midst of it. So yeah, that's what was going on. Jimmy just wanted to move on a little bit and stop doing what he did, but his handlers wanted him to keep doing what he was doing. And the rumor goes, and according to everybody that I know that knows him, still believe that he was killed. And they know the guy who did it because they said he is that type of person that would do that. Every one of them said, yeah, we don't doubt that. It's a Courtney Love kind of vibe, you know.
Right. Huh? Do you think he would have gotten into like with a John McLaughlin type, Mahavishnu type vibe, or maybe like a Jeff Beck type vibe, or
I don't know. Maybe it would have been a Jeff Beck vibe I could see.
Yeah,
but he was who he was. I don't think he would have tried to reinvent himself.
Yeah,
it might have been a big mess too, because how do you put all that shit in a band when you're bigger than they are?
Exactly.
As an aura. I mean, do you do bombs while the brass are going and you're going? Well, it might sound pretty cool, Actually, I gotta try that.
You gotta try
Jimi Hendrix meets Chicago Transit Authority, but that's already been done. That's already been done because Terry Katz kind of had that Jimi Hendrix.
He was awesome.
Going.
He was.
Yes, he was. Bless his
even
heart.
Hendrix said he was awesome. Yeah.
Yes, he was. What a time.
Yeah.
What a time. And even what's his face? Eddie Hazel, man. Him and Jimmy were running neck and neck. And Jim McCarty from Cactus. They were all the same age, So
weren't we lucky to hear all that music back in our time? It
was.
We were very lucky. Yeah.
It was.
Hey man, I want to thank you for being on the show today.
You're welcome.
It's great to chat with you.
Always.
The new album is incredible. Your solo album is incredible. You gave me some great music.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm going to listen to your album over and over again because I love it. It's my style. Your solo album's my style. That's what I like.
Thank you. Awesome. That means a lot to me.
I got to say special thanks to Doug Weber of New Ocean Media for arranging this interview with Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
You can pre-order the new album by King's X, 3 Sides of One. And the official date, I think it's September 2nd, right?
Yes.
That's the release date. Yeah, but you got the 2 singles that are out now on YouTube, and everybody can check that out.
Right.
And they can go, right now, they can go to kingsx.link.to/3 Sides of One to pre-order the album. And also, Joy Bomb, Doug Pinnick's solo release, is available on Amazon.com. Is that where you want people to go? Or
it's available everywhere.
Everywhere.
You can buy it, get it.
By the way, that's a great cover too. I love it.
Yeah, there's a whole story behind that one too. So let's do this again sometime.
We'll do it again. You can also go to DUGNation.net. That's your official website.
Yes.
KingsXRocks.com. That's their official website. They're on Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram. There you go.
Awesome.
Good luck, man. I hope you get to tour soon too. And
I hope so too.
Yeah, I hope he's feeling better. I hope they figure out what's wrong with him and everything.
Thank you.
All right,
let
man.
him know.
Thank you, Doug. God bless you, man.
It's dying. Take care. Thank you.
Take care, man. All right. Bye.